Hello, gorgeous entrepreneur. It's Tash Corbin here, and welcome to another episode of the Heart-Centered Business Podcast. This is episode number 328, which means you can find all the relevant links and show notes for today's episode over at tashcorbin.com/328. Now, this episode has sprung from a bunch of people asking questions when I started talking about the fact that I was coming away on a solo retreat. So in this episode, I'm going to share with you my solo retreat structure and how I prepare for my solo retreats so that I get the most out of them. I'm Tash Corbin, and this is the Heart-Centered Business Podcast. So before we dive into maximizing the effectiveness of your solo retreat or how to make sure that you're all prepared, I just want you to go and book one. Just book it. Now, the way that I decide on when and where to book my retreats is pretty haphazard, but there are a couple of key things that come into consideration. Number one, I try and book a solo retreat at least every 3 months. And when I was living in New Zealand, I actually got to the point where I was doing it every 2 months, which was absolutely amazing. I book it for just before the ovulation phase in my cycle. So you could think about like, what is the intention behind the retreat? What is it that you want to achieve? For me, on my retreats, I do a lot of talking, a lot of podcast recording, a lot of creating. And for me, in my ovulation phase is a really good time to do it. I try and also book a bunch of podcast interviews and other things in whilst I'm on retreat, particularly if I'm going for an extended period of time. But really, it's just about mapping out and setting that time aside and boundarying it up and saying, on this date, I'm going to go on retreat, and then just booking yourself a space. Now, you can book a hotel room, you can book an Airbnb, you can book an entire luxury villa somewhere overseas if you want to, but do what is easiest for you to book immediately. Just get something booked. It can be as low cost as a few $100s to go on solo retreat. And if you have been really like, ooh, leaning in for this episode, then chances are you need one. So get that booked in and give yourself the gift as the CEO of your business of going on a solo retreat for extra productivity, extra focus, or extra opportunity for you to complete and run your business, complete your projects and run your business in the way that you want to be able to do that. Now, whenever someone is in resistance to booking themselves a solo retreat, I always say to them, ask yourself, what would Steve do, right? And we think of Steve as a married, middle-aged white man in the 50s, right? If he was running a business, was a CEO of a business, and he needed to go away to get a bunch of projects finished, he wouldn't hesitate to book himself a hotel somewhere and just get it done. So let's borrow a little bit of Steve's audacity, a bit of Steve's confidence in himself, a bit of Steve's epic selfishness, because being selfish is not actually a negative thing, and let's get that retreat booked in. Just book it. Go on. You can even pause this podcast episode to go and do it now. Go on. Right. Why do I get so passionate about solo retreats? One, they're one of the most effective ways that I get stuff done in my business. It creates this amazing opportunity for me to be in a different space, to get the big picture view of my business, but also to get right in the details of doing and implementing. And sometimes we just need that little like break from the norm to either give us that space to get really clear on what we need to focus on, or to just really nail the stuff that we know that we should have done yesterday, but there just never seems to be the right time or the right environment for you to get it done. And particularly for me, I find retreats are powerful. I get so much done out of them. I make such big, amazing decisions. They're a gift to my team, who often have like a bunch of things they're waiting on me for, and I can prioritize those in my retreat as well. Sometimes it's a little opportunity for Davey and Munchkin to come and join me, maybe for the last day of my retreat. There's just so much epicness to it. My body loves retreats too, by the way, but I'll talk about that in the how I structure and prepare them. All right. So number one, how do I prepare for a solo retreat? First, I set some goals. I get clear on what is the focus of this retreat. So I am on retreat right now. The focus of this retreat is content creation. creating content. Now, that content includes new free resources, a bunch of podcasts, content for some of my online courses, and pre-recording some content for some upcoming launches. But my number one focus is content creation. So I know in every work session that I do in this retreat, I need to make sure that content creation is prioritized. So there are retreats that I go on where the focus is planning and decision making, or there are retreats I go on where the focus is admin, behind the scenes and tidying up. But this one, it's content creation. And so that is what I am hyper focused on for this retreat. Number 2 goal is, how do I want to feel on this retreat? And it's really important to me that I prioritize that and I get really clear on what that is. So on this retreat, my priority feeling is that feeling of like relief, right? I want to feel relieved. And I tell you, I am on day 1.5, like I've done 1.5 days on this retreat so far. And already I have this like wave of relief that has come over me and it feels amazing. Now, part of the reason for that was because I had fallen behind in a bit of content creation. I've been very open about the struggles that I've had over the last year, returning from 3 surgeries in a very short period of time, getting my energy back. I've got a big detox going on in my body right now. And so something that I haven't really felt up to doing is complex content creation in particular. I've found that what normally is something that I find so strengthening and so amazing and so uplifting in my business has been one of the biggest drains on me. And so I needed to create this space to be able to come and do it in the right way so that it felt good. It felt like it was doable. It's not going to burn me out and I can get it done. And those waves of relief just come with every little thing that I tick off. So what is it that you want to feel? Sometimes I want to feel inspired. Sometimes I want to feel relaxed and chilled. Sometimes I want to feel productive and motivated and hyped up. And when I'm clear on how I want to feel, then that will shape the next goal, which is setting goals around what I want to do. Well, what is it that I actually want to do on this retreat? There are things that I don't necessarily want to do on this retreat. I don't want to be caught up in the day-to-day of my business. I don't want to be doing admin and behind the scenes stuff. I don't want to be doing a lot of writing on this retreat, actually. So, I'm really clear on what I do want to do and what I don't want to do. And then finally, what is my non-business focus for this retreat? So in this one, it's nourishment. So my non-business focus is nourishment. Now, what that means for me on this retreat is activities that nourish me, making sure I have the most high quality, organic, nourishing food for my body, but also making sure I have lots of time and space, because time and space is one of the big things that I need to feel nourished. So you can see, just by setting those 4 goals, what's the focus, what do I want to feel, what do I want to do, and what's my non-business focus, I can, really set the scene and set the boundaries around this retreat. And then once I've done that, I collect detailed tasks. And in the preparation phase for going on a solo retreat, it's usually about the 4 to 6 weeks before a retreat, I'll start collecting up tasks. Oh, I could do that on retreat. Oh, that's an idea for retreat. Now, a little caveat here, don't use this as a procrastination tool and then just chuck everything into retreat. That's why I set those goals first, because it would be very easy for me to go, oh, well, I have an email sequence to write. Oh, I'll just do that in retreat. I won't do that now. But actually, no, this retreat is not about writing. It's about content creation, and particularly video content creation and speaking and sound content creation. And so something I don't want to do a lot of on retreat is writing. So therefore, cannot go into the retreat pile, needs to be done now. I also find sometimes, if I am not clear on what that intention is, I will use it as a way of just kicking the can down the road with some of the tasks that I don't want to do. And I want to make sure that this retreat feels really like inspiring and igniting and fun for me to do. So why would I put all the most like dreadful tasks in the retreat? Right? So instead, I don't use it as a procrastination tool. I use it as a strategic tool to gather and batch up a bunch of things that I want to do at once. So I knew coming into this retreat, even 4 or 6 weeks ago, that I was mostly going to be doing a lot of video content. And so therefore, I started to think about, well, what bits of video content do I need? What other ways could I create video in my business? And that really helped me to also set the scene for, well, I'm going to be camera ready each day. One of the first things I'm going to do when I arrive is get my hair done, because getting my hair done makes me feel camera ready. So, you can see how just in the preparation phase, I'm starting to shape up what this solo retreat will feel like. Number 2, arrival planning. So when I first arrive on retreat, usually it's in the afternoon because I'm checking into an apartment or a B&B or something. So I usually will be arriving in the afternoon. So the first afternoon is for setting up my video space, which Davey usually does for me. And I start mapping out my retreat. So I do some detailed planning of my retreat. So number 1 is like, what am I going to do that's going to have the biggest impact? And I prioritize things out. Number 2, what are my non-negotiables that must get done on this retreat? Number 3, how will I make sure my time working on retreat is boundaried so that I have that balance between nurturing and looking after myself and having that space to think and process, as well as the doing time in the retreat. So what I'll do is I will write down all of my tasks on individual post-it notes, and then I have different spaces. So I have different pieces of paper that are up on the wall where I'm collecting those tasks. And then I also use one extra space to collect all the stuff as it's completed. So I'll take it off the to-do list and I'll put it on completed. So that just is my personal style of working. I know some people would rather do it in a spreadsheet or on their screen. But for me, I love in my retreat space having everything up on the wall so I can see not only, what's ahead of me, but also what I've already done. So it makes me feel really good. Now, in that arrival planning and setting up, as a little bonus, I will book in to get my hair done or get my hair done on the first day. Now, for me, this is something like I don't book professional makeup artists. I just do my makeup myself. But when I'm wanting to be on camera, having a treatment in my hair in particular will mean that it just sits really nicely and it's easy for me to style each day. And then getting my hair done, just getting it washed and blow dried, it just feels like, this is the type of CEO that I want to be. This is the type of business that I want to run. This is the way that I want to be pampered in my role as CEO of my business. Now, that might be completely meh to you and you just don't really worry about it, but that's the one for me. You might like to do a meditation as the start of the thing that you do at your retreat, or you might like to bring in a VIP one-to-one yoga instructor to really help you center and ground in your body, right? There's lots and lots of ways for you to feel like you're ready for retreat. And I've definitely done those as well. I've done a one-to-one meditation and healing session with someone at the start of a retreat, booked it one-to-one just on Zoom. And I've also hired a local yoga practitioner to come and lead me through a delicious 2-hour yin yoga session right at the start of a retreat before. This one, of course, as I said, I'm doing lots of videos. So I booked in and got my hair done. So yeah, you can just book the thing that makes it feel really good for you. I actually have a friend, and on her first day of retreat, she goes clothes shopping with a stylist. How amazing is that? So she goes and buys all the outfits for her retreat on the first day of her retreat with a personal shopper. Oh, so good. All right, number 3. I set up and have a strong daily schedule. So this is how part of the structure part, right? I have certain parts of my schedule that really make my solo retreats super effective. Part 1 is a morning routine. So I set a time that I want to get up most days. I do allow myself a lazy little sleep in if I feel like it on retreat. I'm on retreat after all. But, I'll be clear on what kind of time of day I want to get up. And then I have a morning routine. So I make myself a warm lemon water. I'll usually go for a walk, grab myself a decaf coffee on the way home from a local coffee shop if there's one around. If not, I'll bring my own dandy coffee supplies. I love a dandelion tea and that's my coffee. So I'll have my morning routine and set myself up and then, set myself up for the day and get into it. So I get really clear on my morning routine. I also, in my daily schedule, I pick an energizing task to start the day. So different things are more energizing for me than others. I am on solo retreat right now recording this. So I'll tell you what I did today. I went and sat at a cafe. I ordered a delicious green smoothie and I mapped out my content plan for the next 12 weeks. And I did my post-it notes for each podcast episode. So you're really seeing behind the matrix today. So this is how I record podcast episodes. I write the podcast episode number, the name of the podcast episode, and then my key points and the call to action at the end. So I love these 10 by 10 centimeter post-it notes, by the way, with the lines on them. They're perfect for doing podcast episodes. And so I actually sat down and pre-wrote all of the pieces for every single one of the podcasts that I'm going to record on this retreat. And it was so energizing for me. And I was so busting to get back and start recording them when I had finished my time at that cafe early this morning. So I have come back and now I'm up to my 6th podcast episode in a row that I have recorded because it was just so energizing to sit and do all of that planning and preparation in advance. So, and it was just pen and paper. I just jotted down what my ideas were in my planner. Heart Center Business Planning System, tashcorbin.com/planner. So I just jotted down those in my planner. And so all I took was a wad of post-it notes, my pens, my planner, and I sat down and did all of that planning out in advance. And it was just so great. It was so energizing for me. Now, planning out your next 12 podcasts might not feel energizing for you. You might find something else energizing, but it's a task that you're doing in your business that's like a strengthening, energizing task for you. So all of those extroverts out there, you might do a reel of you on retreat. You might do a Facebook Live to connecting with your audience that really pumps you up and excites you. Introverts, you might do listen to a really energizing podcast and plot out how you're going to implement that in your business behind the scenes. You might, do something that's like really stimulating for you, like writing or pre-recording something or creating slides for something. If you're a really creative person, the task that you might do is some design in Canva. You might make a new model for something inside one of your programs, but make sure it's aligned with the purpose of the retreat, the things that you want to tick off in your business, and it's something that's energizing for you to start your day. You know how there's like that whole eat the frog thing and like do the yucky task first? That doesn't actually work for my brain, right? My brain wants stimulation and excitement and dopamine first thing, right? That is what actually creates excitement and energy for me to stay engaged in my business, not doing the boring thing first. So I love to have an energizing, really rewarding task to start my day. Tomorrow, I'm going to start my day with a Facebook Live. So that's my energizing task. The next day, I actually have a group client call that's on at 9 o'clock in the morning. So that's going to be my energizing task to start the day. So see how like each day I've set myself up with something that's going to make me feel really amazing to get my day started and really lift my energy. So, doing the content planning out in a cafe surrounded by other people, #extrovert, really helped me this morning. Tomorrow, I'm going to be doing a Facebook Live talking to some of my beautiful peeps who follow my page. That's really great for me. So I know what energizes me in my business. Number 3 is I plan my movement breaks. So whilst I have sat down and recorded now 6 episodes of my podcast, I do them 2 or 3 at a time, depending on how well I go before I need to take a quick break or how short the episodes are. But then while that's processing and uploading for my team, I go and take a movement break. So I've got a YouTube channel that I follow, Fitness Marshall, highly recommend. He's amazing. And I have that set up, logged on YouTube on the TV out in the living space of this apartment. And so whilst it's doing its thing and uploading and processing and all of that kind of stuff, I go and do a couple of dances with the Fitness Marshall. And I have the ones that I want to learn and practice lined up because I actually do the same ones over and over again so I can learn the routine. Like, so tragic, but I love it so much. So put your movement breaks in there. I also, because this solo retreat is actually quite close to home, I have booked in for Honest Davey, my partner, to come and bring Munchkin, my dog, and we're going to go for a walk after lunch tomorrow and then first thing in the morning the next day. So I've got those like pieces of movement in there, but also have things I can do for movement breaks for short periods of time as well. So once I've done a few batches of podcasts now, I'll then go for a walk. It's still morning now. I'll go for a walk and pick somewhere to go and get my lunch today because I'm having lunch out. And then I'll, walk back and then I'll settle in for the afternoon. And this afternoon, I'm going to be recording some modules for one of my programs. And then, so short movement breaks and those big breaks. Now, also something that I put into my daily schedule, #extrovert, is I like to have one meal out and one meal in. So I will either have lunch out at a cafe and then have dinner in, or I will have lunch in and I'll have dinner out. Now, that for me is just like mixing up the scenery and giving myself, enough stimulation and access to other people while I'm on a solo retreat. But it might be for you, like you order in every single meal, like that's something that feels really abundant to you, or you prepare one meal yourself and then order another one in. Totally up to you, but that's just a little something that I like to do, is like make sure that I have one out and one in usually, because I like sitting and watching Netflix and eating delicious food that's been delivered. Or I also equally love like going out to dinner on my own and just, as an extrovert and a bit of an exhibitionist, I like to look around at the restaurant and think like, what do people think I'm here like dining on my own for? Do they think I'm like, single lady out, trying to find someone, or do they think I'm like a business lady who's, in town on her own? Like, I love to just think about like, what are the stories people are making up about me while I'm here? Anyway, some people find eating out alone like torture, but I absolutely love it. So go figure. All right. And then number 4, I keep track of my achievements on solo retreat. So as I said, I've got like a done list. So when I finish something, when I finish with one of my podcast episodes, it goes up on the wall on the done list. When I've taken a post-it down and completed that task, it goes up into the done space. And then I report that back to my team. I keep them very updated on what I've achieved through my retreat so that they can see how much I'm getting done. That's a little bit of accountability for me, but it also just helps them to see like how much I care about getting stuff done that they were waiting on for me. And then also I will update my audience as well. I'll take some selfies. I'll send some emails to clients and say, hey, I'm on solo retreat. I was thinking of you. This is what I've been working on. Or, I'm in the moment in this retreat, I'm going to be recording quite a lot of modules for one of my programs. And I'm going to update the people inside that program and say, oh my gosh, like 20 new modules done or whatever it is. I've been doing some updating of a program and finishing off some modules for another one. So yeah, it's just going to be great for me to keep people in the loop about what I've achieved on my retreat. That is highly engaging content for social media. It's also just really nourishing and so connecting with your audience for them to see, like, this is how you create space to get stuff done. This is how you look after yourself and treat yourself as the CEO of your business. And it's very inspiring for other people to see the way that we do it. I think it's a big permission slip as well. That's why I say, like, what would Steve do? Because I think that if you look at the way that businessmen did things, back in the day, they gave each other permission to do a bunch of stuff, right? Oh, we go away to conferences all the time. Yeah, it's just normal. We are traveling and, getting secretaries to help us and, all those sorts of things. Like, it just normalized it. And I think for online business owners, we need to normalize taking yourself off on a solo retreat. I just think this should just be part of the way that we run business, honestly, because it is so uplifting. It is so energizing. It is so nurturing. And it's just such a powerful way to create the time and space for you to be strategic and get those important tasks done in a way that doesn't feel like you're, whipping yourself into submission. Yeah, beautiful. All right, so hopefully you found this really inspiring and igniting and you want to book yourself a solo retreat as well. If you've got any follow-up questions about this, just slide on into my DMs on Facebook or Instagram. That's totally fine. And as I said at the start, Don't get in perfectionist mode about the perfect retreat and the perfect structure and the perfect this. I've given you a bunch of ideas to play with and practice, but the first thing you need to do is just book it. So go on, JBI, just book it, okay? And when you have, slide into my DMs and tell me, because I am so excited to see and that you've booked it in, and I will cheer you on and send you epic vibes for productivity and effectiveness while you're on your retreat as well. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of the Heart Centered Business Podcast. Until next time, I cannot wait to see you shine, and I cannot wait to hear about your retreats. Bye for now. Would you like more tips, tools, and resources to help you grow your heart-centered business? Head to tashcorbin.com today.